So what the Reserve Bank governor basically means there is that while there might be a slight increase in rates towards the end of the year, generally this repo rate or interest rate is accommodative. In other words, it's supporting the economy. Right, onto this, the local market closing 0.75% in the red this afternoon, with the rand taking a severe beating this evening, losing more than 20 cents against the US dollar from earlier on in the afternoon. Market commentator Chris Gilmour joins me now to just take a closer look at that. Chris, thanks indeed for talking to us. Let's start with this weakening rand. I just see just losing about 20 cents since mid-afternoon. Does that have anything to do with the interest rate announcement, or is it just an international dollar strength that we are seeing here?
Devan, good evening. Look, I think it has a bit of both. The dollar is doing what it shouldn't be doing, but you're quite right. That is a factor. But I think another factor here is the fact that we're looking at interest rates around the world increasing. And we saw last week, we saw Brazil going up 75 basis points with another 75 basis points to come. We saw Turkey raising their rate by 200 basis points. And then Erdogan went and fired his central bank governor. And then the lira took a good hammering after that. And then Russia, 25 basis points. So wherever you look, rates are hardening. Inflation is on the rise, without a shadow of a doubt. Already, inflation is moving up. So I think a lot of people would have been looking at the Reserve Bank today and thinking, well, I think there's a fair chance of 25 basis points. And by not having it, I think that's probably one of the reasons why you saw the rand taking a bit of a kicking.
Markets now seem to be unhappy about lockdowns, as you've put it. I mean, the vaccine rollouts don't seem to be as impressive as one would have thought globally. So that optimism, Chris, as I understand it, is waning a bit, certainly on the international scene. And perhaps you can see that in some of the shares at the moment, can't you?
You're absolutely right. Look, if you rewind to towards the end of last year, when you had the announcement from Pfizer-BioNTech, you had AstraZeneca, Moderna, and one or two others coming out with these incredibly good efficacies. But nobody, and I mean absolutely nobody, had expected them to be so good. There was unbridled enthusiasm and optimism towards the end of the year. And as you rightly say, that has been dampened somewhat with the fact that the actual rollout is being exceptionally patchy. I mean, in countries like Israel and the UAE, Chile, and the UK, it's been fantastic. And even the US, now they've got a new president, he's getting his act together, and they're going quickly. I mean, I speak to people in the US, and it's pretty much back to normal there. So it is happening, but Europe is a terrible laggard. And not only are they not reacting properly to the vaccine rollout, but they're getting all stroppy about it. So it's getting very, very messy. So with a big chunk like Europe likely to stay in lockdown for quite some time to come, that's going to drag on global economic growth.
Chris, what do you think about Remgro? I see this investment heavyweight. It's chaired by Jan Rupert. It slashed its dividend on the impact of COVID-19. What did you make of their results today?
Yeah, they were poor results. Look, a lot of it, I mean, if you go into it, this is an investment holding company. And the big drops were in Mediclinic, 80% down, and in First Rank, which didn't pay a dividend last year. So those will be not repeating, I suppose. And if you look at the discount to net asset value, which is the only way to really look at an investment holding company, look at the discount to intrinsic net asset value, it's quite steep at about 35%. It has been higher. It's not. I can't get excited about this one, because if you look at virtually all of their investments, I mean, they're all tied into an improvement in the South African economy. And I think we talked about vaccination rollouts. Well, there is no vaccination rollout at all in South Africa. And latest indications from Zweli Mkhize is that they're not going to be able to get anything like the 67 million the doses that they wanted by year end. So it's going to be a bit of a problem, I think, for the South African economy to gain the kind of traction that is required for companies like this to actually start performing. So, look, it's a well-managed company. It's got a clean balance sheet. But unfortunately, I think it's going to stay with a steep discount to NAV for quite some time.
Right. And that's where we have to leave it. Yeah, it's closely tied to the South African economy, as you say. Chris Gilmour, an independent analyst there. Well,